I am Thomas Chemmanur. I'm a professor of finance and Hill and Brand Distinguished Fellow at Boston College. My PhD was from NYU many years ago, and my first job was as a professor at Columbia. I joined Boston College after being a professor of finance at Columbia University, Graduate School of Business, and this is my second job. The name of my paper is, is it the investment bank or the investment banker? The role of investment banker, human capital in acquisitions. There has been significant work, partly by myself theoretically, about the role of investment banks as intermediaries in the financial market. For example, I had a theory paper with Paolo Fulgheri on investment bank reputation, the role it plays in IPOs, for example. However, there has been no research so far before this paper on how the investment bankers, as against the investment bank, the role they play. We all know that in practice, the kind of investment bankers, they move around and they play a very important role. So we thought we would examine empirically how the investment bankers, as distinct from the investment bank, the role they play in acquisitions. So that is the paper, and our idea is that investment bankers, at the end of the day, it is the human beings who do the work. They may be searching, typically the acquirers hire investment banks, and of course the investment bankers who work there, and they go out and search for very good targets, because sometimes you need a proper synergy. Not sometimes, almost all the time, synergy between the investment bank, between the acquirer and the target firm. So they hire good targets. If they find good targets for the acquirer to hire, clearly there's a lot of value created. So we are looking at how they experience and other human capital, in economics we call human capital, experience, education, how they work with people, how smart they are, how that affects the final outcome of an acquisition. Unfortunately, there is relatively less data on human capital. I myself have done some work on company managers, as against the investment banks, who are the intermediary firm managers, how they affect the outcome of the firm, and so on in the context of IPOs, private firms, and most of that was hand-collected. So that is how I came to this research. Here I want to do similarly how the investment bankers who work for the investment bank, who are traditionally known in finance as intermediaries against the firm, how they affect the outcome of an acquisition. So initially, we had to do hand-collected data. For example, LinkedIn. We all know LinkedIn is a very good way of finding jobs and things like that for individuals. But maybe lesser known is that finance professors and nowadays economists also try to find data on people. So initially, a lot of hand collection was done. Then my co-author Minay and Karthik, this is a paper between myself, Minay Trigura and Karthik Krishnan. Minay is a professor at UMass Boston, and Karthik is a professor at Northeastern University. So Minay did a lot of hand collection. Then we got a database called MergerStat. We got some electronic data. So basically, we want to collect information on investment bankers' experience. You can think of LinkedIn as a very good source of that. Also FINRA, the regulatory agencies gave us a lot of data on that. And then we got electronic data from mergers and so on. So these are the three big sources. So we had to put it together and see. Basic idea is that how does the experience and other human capital, education experience, other human capital of investment bankers as against the investment bank. Data is always available in CompuStat and other electronic databases on investment banks themselves, what kind of deals they have done and so on. So you want to distinguish between that and the investment bankers involved in the deal, how that affects the outcome of the deal, how that affects the announcement effect, how that affects the performance of the deal in the future. There is a lot of research showing that mergers sometimes don't work out. Companies tout it, they pay a lot for the target, but then finally the joint firm doesn't perform up to expectations. So we want to know what kind of deals work better, what kind of deals work worse, and then is there a role for the investment bank and the investment banker involved in the deal? And our focus, of course, is on the human capital of the investment bankers. So a lot of hand-collected data was involved in doing this paper. So like I said, since we are the very first paper doing this, clearly all the results were interesting, but let me start with the most important result. Like a basic starting result is that the human capital of the investment banker, in terms of education, their experience, and so on, dramatically affects every aspect of the deal. Okay, so that is the thing. For example, even the announcement effect. So we look at, announcement effect in finance means that when you announce the deal, how does the stock price of the acquirers react? Okay, that's called the announcement effect. We want to take out the effect of the market movement. So remember, any one given company on any day can move up or down. If you watch CNBC, you see that it goes up or down. But typically in event studies, what we do is we take out the effect of the entire market movement. So we want to isolate the effect of the deal announcement. So we find that more the human capital of the investment bank involved, some of the market seems to take that into account, is a more positive announcement effect. Okay, and then we look at the performance, the long term. We call it abnormal operating performance. Again, taking out the effect of the industry. Other companies in the industry, how they perform. There may be industry-wide macro trends. We take that out and see whether how the deal performs over a longer period of time. And we find that again, when you have heavily high human capital investment bankers involved, as against the investment bank. Remember, we are going to control for the effect of the investment bank. There is also an effect of investment bank, like if it is Goldman versus some boutique investment bank, that will be an effect. So we control for that in the analysis. And then we find that the investment banker human capital is involved, it does better. Higher human capital, more experienced investment bankers are involved in the deal, the entire deal, meaning the acquisition itself, the joint acquisition performs better. So that's the most interesting basic result. Then we have many other interesting results. For example, we find that we look at what happens if the investment banker moves from one investment bank to another. Because somebody may still argue, oh, what you're really finding is the investment bank effect. Maybe your controls are not perfect. So we thought, why don't we look at when the investment banker moves from one investment bank to another? Are the acquirers aware of the fact that the investment banker has an effect on the acquisition? And most interestingly, we find that yes. So sometimes there are serial acquirers. What do I mean by serial acquirers? Where the same company may acquire more than one target over time. So we find that many cases, big proportion of the cases, when the investment banker moves from one bank to another, the acquirer moves with that person. So let's say the senior person moves, that clearly shows that the investment banker human capital plays a big role in the acquisition. So that could qualify as one of the most interesting next level result. You can imagine I have been one of my big strands of research. I do both theoretical and empirical research in corporate finance, and also this area can be thought of more as intermediation. I don't do commercial banking, but more like financial services. So I have had theory paper on the role of the investment bank on IPOs, for example, and other. You can extrapolate to other financial market deals like acquisitions. But there is no theory paper, for example, on the role of investment bankers as against the investment bank in acquisitions. So one of the obvious spin-offs from this paper would be to do a theory project trying to analyze the role of the investment banker. You can imagine from doing this empirical paper, I got a lot of ideas, because we also know that the investment bank play a role. So there is some work already on the role of the investment bank itself on acquisitions. Now our paper is on the role of investment bankers on acquisitions after controlling for the role of the investment bank. So it's interesting to do a next level theory paper. Then I hope to look at the role of the empirically, using data, the role of the investment bankers in other corporate events, for example, IPOs. Again, like I said, there has been work on the role of the investment bank, many papers on the role of the investment bank itself, but no research on the role of the banker in IPOs, which is another important finance deal. So these are my typically agenda. JFQA is a very important, now is becoming more and more considered an A journal. So the top 4 journals, if you ask me, in finance, not ask me, also the deans of any business school right now or tenure decisions. These are the Journal of Finance, which is Association Journal. We are here at the American Finance Association. Journal of Financial Economics, which is a very old finance journal, and the Review of Financial Studies. So JFQA has increasingly joined the top 4 finance, and I have always published many papers in JFQA, and I hope to continue to publish. So it was a natural outlet. My other 2 co-authors are junior to me. In fact, one of them, Karthik Krishnan, is my former student, doctoral student from Boston College. He's now tenured associate professor at Northeastern. So JFQA has given us a very good turnaround and very sensible referees. So we chose, and they also do a very good job on evaluating papers. Because sometimes papers, journals get into fads and so on. JFQA has more and more increasingly very broad journal, willing to publish both theory and empirical. So we got very good treatment, very good turnaround, and time-wise and everything from JFQA. So that is why we chose it.